It's so good to see you again at LinkedIn Live. And this is an exciting occasion because we are talking about one of the most popular programs that ICF has to offer, Business Development Series. And it is my distinct pleasure to introduce my two colleagues, William Arruda, the architect and moderator for the BDS series, and also Karen Bernstein, our VP of Learning and Development at ICF. Those two are really behind the success of this program. And what I understand is that this year we have some innovation, some new aspects of it. So we just wanted to share it with you. Karen, William,
Sure.
take it away.
All right. Thank you, Magda. So just William and I are actually in the same room together in Los Angeles. So it's a great coincidence and our ability to talk about this program. We're super excited about it. The BDS, Business Development Series program, has been around since about 2013, and it has evolved over time. And we're super excited about this year's program because we've completely restructured it. Previously, it had more of a conference format, and this year it's truly a course with course materials that people can really dig into and to develop their own business plans at the end of the program. This year, the program is divided into two sections, one in February and one in June. In February, the program is called our core program, and that one focuses on people who are really establishing new businesses, people who are fresh to coaching or have coached as part of a group and now want to go out on their own. And this is our opportunity to really define what their niche is, what their business plan is, what their brand is. And it's just a great launching point for people's businesses. In June, we're also going to have an advanced program, and that's really for people who are looking to pivot their program, to expand their offerings, to look into things like video or writing a book or public speaking or coursework, and just taking it to the next level. So the program takes place over 3 days. There's a live version and an on-demand version. So it gives people the opportunity, if you want that interactive component, if you want sort of the excitement of the gentleman next to me who you'll hear from in a minute, that's for you. But on demand also gives people from around the world for whom the time may not be convenient, or people who just know that they want to take their time, they want a self-paced experience to really dig deep into the program, then the on-demand version is for them. There's also the beauty that you don't just have to be available those 3 days in February. You can purchase the program and do it in March or August or whenever, seems to suit you, because, the program is yours for that time period. But enough of what I have to say. I'm going to turn it over to William, and I'm going to give him a couple of prompts so that we can go through the explanation of the program. So William, why don't you talk about the themes for the program in the live version?
Yeah, so the live version, and again, the on-demand version covers the exact same material, but the live version is in 3 days. Day one is all about uncovering your brand. It's a lot of self-reflection, a lot of really thinking about who am I, what makes me great, who are the people I seek to serve, what are my offerings, and how do I make this relevant and compelling to those ideal people. So it's really, it's the kind of activities we'll work on will be very self-reflective, getting really clear. And the goal is for you to understand exactly what your practice is about and what you want it to be. So that's day one. Day two is we're going to completely change the kind of activities we work on, and we're going to help you tell your story. How do you tell your story in the real and digital world? And how do you make it compelling, especially for those people you seek to serve, right? How do you get them really excited about you? And how do you take your differentiation and make it visible so that people know how to find you and can get excited about you? So this is going to be your outputs. You're going to leave with actual outputs, an updated elevator pitch, an updated bio, online profiles, the kind of tools that you can use to be visible to your audience. So that's day 2, right? So day 1, really cerebral and kind of think your heart and your brain, and day 2 is really like a lot of drafting and kind of putting all this stuff together into some really brilliant and authentic story. And then day 3 is it's how do you expand your brand? How do you get everyone excited about you? How do you remain visible, available, and valuable to your audience so that they know that they can find you and ultimately you can be hired, right? We're going to take you in day 3. There's this really cool model called ACT B. It stands for awareness, consideration, trial, and buy. This is how you're going to be able to move people who become aware about you into clients, right? And then ultimately turn those clients into promoters so that they can bring new clients into the fold.
Thanks. So if you haven't noticed already, William has boundless energy. Not only is he an incredible wealth of knowledge, but he has boundless energy, and he will guide you through this experience and help you to determine how you want to set up the best business plan for yourself. And what we want to do now is just take a pause and ask you to put in the comments, what is the greatest challenge that you're having with your business strategy? And we're going to address those throughout this LinkedIn Live. And also for those of you who noticed in our promotion for today, we will be offering 2 free registrations to BDS Core, our first program in February. So for those who put comments in the chat, and then a member of the ICF staff team will follow up with you at your LinkedIn address for the 2 people who are selected. But
Very
let's move
exciting.
on to the workbook. So let's talk a little bit about the workbook and how interactive it is. And we're going to show a couple of examples from the workbook so that folks can get a feel for the program.
Yeah, this is the big innovation, I think, is you are literally going to be able to document everything you learn as you move through the program, and you will leave with essentially your master plan for turning your practice into exactly what you need it to be. And so unlike every one of the previous sessions that we've done, this is really, it's a serial process and a course, and everything you learn is going to inform something that you already did some work on or something that's going to come up. And all of that can be recorded in the workbook. So here's a page that's an example, and a few things I want to point out. One of the things we're going to work on is developing your brand identity system. And if you're not sure what that is, no worries, because we're going to tell you what that is. But a really important tool for being able to convey your brand. And as you work through these activities, notice this little pink item that says action near the top. As you start to identify actions, you're going to automatically populate your action plan. So one of the things you're going to leave with, and this is one of the things that excites me the most, is you're going to have an actual step-by-step action plan of everything you commit to doing to be able to move your practice forward. So here's an example around brand identity system. And what you're going to do is you're going to see, where am I clear? What are the elements that I need to be able to focus on? And then what actions am I going to take? And all of that you'll be able to record and be able to integrate into your action plan. Could we have the next page? So here we're talking about networking. It's the same thing. We're going to start out by getting you to assess, what kind of networker are you? You're going to be more likely great at networking if you take into account the things that bring you joy when you network rather than the things that bring you dread. So we'll work on that, and then you will say, here are the actions I'm going to take to network so that I can build my business, so that I can increase my visibility and really have an impact. And so you will say, these are the things that I'm going to do, and you'll make commitments to it. If you're in the live session, you're going to meet a lot of people because we're going to do a lot of breakouts. So you will be able to even come up with an accountability buddy, if you'd like, where you can exchange your business plans that you've come up with and hold each other accountable to the actions that you're going to take. I think in a little bit, actually, you know what, Vanessa, we're going to come back to this one in a moment. We'll talk about the action plan soon.
Okay. Embedded in the workbook are not only these activities, but there was a little blue screen, little blue box on one of the first workbooks slides that we showed. And embedded in that will be videos from other subject matter experts on resources for deeper inquiry. You want to talk about those for a sec?
Yeah. So in addition to going through the material with me step by step, there are certain times and certain topics where we wanted to provide an additional point of view or some deeper learning. We have people from all over the world who've contributed this. We have a Nader Bacchini, I don't know if you know him, talking about how do you prove that coaching delivers value, right? So he's just absolutely brilliant. People love to learn from him. So we have some additional experts and some step-by-step guides and all kinds of tools that you'll also be able to use either for deep about niche a lot. And she has a video called An Alternative to Niching, which I think is an interesting way, a different perspective of looking at the same topic.
That's great. And then we have this version, which is the live version, but simultaneously there's a self-study version, and the workbook will look exactly the same, and the videos will be on the exact same topics, but they won't be broken up for going into breakout rooms, because you'd be going into a breakout room by yourself. But so talk about the self-study experience and how that might be great for some people.
Yeah, well, one thing, we wanted to make this available for anybody anywhere in the world. So time zones shouldn't matter. The ICF is a global organization. Also, there are people who just, you might be someone who, you don't want to, do this in this really structured way. You want to do it when it's convenient for you. Maybe you like to learn on the subway on the way to work, or whatever it is. You will be able to do that. So you can do it in a compressed period of time, in an extended period of time, whenever it feels great for you. Now, if you do have a colleague who's going through it, it's great to be able to get that accountability partner that you could work with, so that you're not always alone in going through it, but that you do have someone you can bounce some ideas off of, or hold each other accountable. So the program's exactly the same. And in fact, I just finished recording that entire program, and we're going to be using the same materials when we do it live, but it won't be a recorded version of what was live. It's going to launch exactly on the same date as the live program in February.
And each of the programs have the same exercises, and they also have the same action plan. And the workbook is designed in a way that the action plan sort of follows exactly what you have set out, what in each aspect of the program, and how you're going to turn that into action.
Yeah. Vanessa, could you please pull up the action plan? What we did is we built this, and thanks to the power of technology, we built it so that you don't have to worry about your action plan until the end, but there's actually some technology that is worrying about it for you. So as you identify very specific things, you'll do a lot of learning, and that'll all be recorded. But when you say, here's something I want to do, you're going to indicate that. And when we get to our last day in the program, your action plan is already going to be populated with many of the actions that you've identified. So rather than creating your action plan from scratch, you're going to go in and you're going to refine it, and you're going to prioritize things. So, here are the things that get populated. Here are the 7 other things I want to do. And now here's how I'm going to prioritize those and create a schedule to make them happen. The key is, with all learning, right? You can go to a conference and you go to a session and you're like, wow, that was great. And then you may or may not do something with it. The goal of this program is for you to turn learning into action, so that you can turn action into results for your practice. And that's why this action plan is so critical.
So this is the core program. The core program is going to launch. It's going to start February 20th. It'll be February 20th to the 22nd. And then we have our advanced program in June. And we want to give you just a little preview of how that will follow. There may be some people who say, you know what, I'm set. The core program isn't for me, but what is this, advanced program all about? Or you may get super excited through the core program in February and say, you know what, I want to explore this in more detail in June. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. And it's the first time we've ever had a program for seasoned coaches, right? So, and here's what we know. You're going to establish your business now. It's not going to look anything like that in 5 years. right? You're going to learn new stuff. You're going to come up with new offerings and whatnot. And so there are lots of coaches who are thinking, what's next for me? Do I want to grow my niche? Do I want to expand into new areas? Do I want to, as you said earlier, Karen, write a book or go on the speaking circuit? What are the things that I want to do? Or do I want to pivot entirely, take what I've learned here and build a new business? Those are the kinds of things that we're going to focus on in advance. In advance, it is going to require that you have some clarity about your business. You've built your brand. You've been working with clients for a while, and you may know what's next, or you may not know what's next, and that's okay. But you're ready for what's next. My guess is that we will have many overachievers who will start in February. They'll make all that stuff happen, and when we come to June, we're going to reconnect, and we're going to already start to think about and start putting plans in place for phase 2 of your practice. So I think I might be most excited about this because we're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about like really big picture strategic things that you want to do with your business. And in every previous iteration of the business development series, we've never really, I don't think we've ever done that a really good service. It's kind of been combined. This is really specifically designed for that. So it's really gonna challenge you, and there's gonna be some mind-blowing kind of things. It's gonna be great.
And core is really the nuts and bolts. Core is really your opportunity to sort of dig in. You may be the most amazing coach in the world, but setting up a business plan, scares you to death. So the opportunity to really dig into, how do I make this work for me? And then advanced just gives you that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to do something different, ready to pivot. And so we thought, rather than cramming everything into one curriculum, we were going to divide it into 2. And they'll evolve over time as well. But we're super excited right now about the way that this is going. I want to remind everybody of the prompt. What is your greatest challenge with your business strategy? And now, Magda, if you could just let us know some of the questions that have come in while we've been talking, that'd be great.
Sure. And we have an active group and from all over the place. So greetings to everybody. For some of you, it is late. For some of you, it's very early in the morning. But thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, there are some individual questions and there are some very, I think, and forgive me for paraphrasing and just kind of coupling them together. But the big question, one of the probably most frequently asked question is about finding that niche, and it is how do I clearly message my value? How do I gain greater visibility? How do I build that brand identity and therefore differentiate myself from the pack? That's probably the greatest number of questions, and I have many more. So,
well, you know what? So first of all, that's great. If those are the questions that you have, then we put the right stuff in the program.
Right.
Because that's really what it's about. I think there's some great news about coaching, and something that can make us a little nervous too. The great news is they're resilient. Like coaching, the whole world is talking about it. It's really big. I remember back, when there were 800 coaches, and the first thing on everyone's website was, "What is coaching?" No one needs to do that anymore, right? So I think that's great. The challenge is the ICF alone has, Magda, is it 62,000? How many members do you have? Yeah.
And counting.
And counting. It's the biggest coaching organization in the world, and it's a huge number of coaches, right? So you might be the world's best coach, but how do you get the people you want to serve to know about you? So we can get a little bit lost in the noise, and I think that can be scary because you're a great coach, and the last thing you want to do is spend 80% of your time developing business. You want to spend 90% of your time coaching, right? And do the other part. So I think the strategy that we have is the attraction strategy. If you can build a brand that is clear and strong enough to get your ideal audience to know about you, they find you, right? And when you make them, just so thrilled and so much more successful or happy or less stressed or whatever it is you do for them, they become part of the sales force, and it really, it's a snowball going downhill. So So we're going to focus on that is what does, Magda, I'm so glad someone asked a question about differentiation. If you don't know what differentiates you, you have a problem, because then you're just a coach and nobody knows to pick you. You're in a sea of coaches. But when you can define and make clear that differentiation and then make it visible to the people who are going to be wowed by it, that's kind of the magic. And we're going to do that. A lot of that work is going to be in that reflection work on day one. And then the other thing that you were mentioning, Magda, is how do I make myself visible? That's day 3 stuff, right? So how can you use social media without letting social media take over your life, right? And or have that, you go to bed at night and you're like, oh, I didn't post an Instagram today. And who's got time for that, right? How can you do it with this? We're going to use a technique. It's called being lazy. It's this really cool technique for social media. It's my favorite technique. And essentially it means, how can you get this much visibility with this much effort?
Yeah. I got a couple of other questions. Thank you very much for those responses, William, that may be good for for the advanced program. One is we all know that networking is important, and this is how a lot of business comes along. So one question was, so what is the right group to network with? Which I think is an interesting one. And the other one, somebody asked, so right now they seem to be pigeonholed in a mid-level, um, uh, perhaps mid-level manager, leader type of situation, while a person is ready and their sweet spot, they think, is with the C-suite. So how do you make that leap? And again, how do you show that value that would get the attention of the client you want to work with?
Great. So the first question, networking, it's going to be in both. We're going to in the first one, it's going to be, how can I network in a way that feels comfortable and authentic to me, so that I'm constantly growing my network without doing stuff that I don't love to do. So we'll do a lot of that kind of, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what's one thing that you could do to step outside your comfort zone in networking to make that happen. And then we're going to talk about networking and even maybe integrating AI into it in the advanced piece, because there's some really exciting stuff happening there. The second question is a really good question about brand evolution. Right. And we'll talk a little bit about it in core, but that's going to be mostly for advanced, which is, here's where my brand is. And I've built it. I've done a great job. I have all these people know me, and they know me as this kind of person. And it's kind of maybe even working against me, because I really want to coach this kind of person. Right. I'm coaching mid-level managers. I want C-suite or VP folks. How can I do it? And the good news is, once you've established the brand, even though everyone thinks like, this is how I'm known now, I'm pigeonholed, I can't move. It's much easier to evolve that brand than to start from scratch. And so we're going to take, what we're going to do is we're going to take all the good parts of that brand that are relevant to this C-suite thing, and that's where we're going to create the positioning. Right. So it's going to be and by the way, you don't have to lose these folks. I'm sure that's great. Right. But how are we going to augment that with this community? And then what are our messages going to be? It becomes a new communications plan, because every target audience you have, right, it has a new channel for reaching them. So what's the communications plan I'm going to use now to make these people understand that I'm relevant and appropriate for them? And that having established that base is an incredible asset that we'll be able to leverage.
And to the networking piece, one of the great things about the workbook is it really gives you step-by-step prompts to develop things like your elevator pitch, and to test it out with people in small group discussions, or to have it written down in your self-study guide that you can then bring to some of your colleagues and practice and test it out, and not just have it in your head, but really commit it to paper, and to have
my I couldn't be more excited about it. I think it's going to be the game. We want speed, right? We want people to go from the slow lane to the fast lane as quickly as they can get there, so that because I mean that helps support the mission of the ICF, right? Where more coaching is happening and the whole world is changing thanks to the power of coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. We got great participation and engagement on the chat, so this is great, and many people seems like already got some value from watching this first presentation. So fantastic, and I'm sure that there are gonna be many other questions, some other ones coming through. It's like, how do I deal with offering something for free versus charging? How to work with not for profits? How to position yourself there? So it is quite obvious that our colleagues already are thinking about their specific positioning in a marketplace aligned with their values, aligned with their passions. So this is great. This is great. Somebody says, don't forget to use your blinker on your way to the fast lane. So
Very nice.
reckless.
Nice.
Recklessly.
Creativity. I love it.
So if there aren't any other questions, I just want to thank William for putting his heart and soul into this program for so many years. And like I said, his enthusiasm is so infectious, and his wisdom and his ability to facilitate helping people to move from point A to point B to point F and Z and all those other letters of the alphabet. But this is your journey, and we want to help you along with your journey, both through the core program and the advanced program, and really to help all coaches be, successful and reach their goals. And we invite as many of you to join us in this exciting journey. And we look forward to seeing you in February 20th to the 22nd, or in June as well. I think it's the 4th to the 6th. I should know that, but pretty sure that
I'm pretty sure
we have time
that's
to
right.
get that right.
We do have time to get it right. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be wildly international. You're going to meet so many of your colleagues who are going to become a really big part of your professional network, and that's part of the benefit is the people that you will engage with if you're in the live version, and the people you may connect with on this content as you're going through on demand.
Definitely. Well, thank you, William. Thank you, Karen. Karen and your team, you guys are behind the scenes on this program, and thank you so much for that. William, always an enthusiast of yours, but your enthusiast. And thank you so much, everybody who joined us today. And as Karen said, we hope to see you. We hope you tell your colleagues and friends and take advantage of either live or on-demand program. Thank you so much.